Hi, Scrubs. I hope you're well.
Hello, you awesome people.
Hello, Starfam.
And we are back for July's episode. We are back now as normal, not double month episode or anything. We are back. Everything is fine. Everything is normal, so to speak. Anyway, we are here. And interesting episode today because now we're diving deep into gaming and mechanism and stuff because we're going to talk about the subject people just love to hate and still love, and that is something that is in gaming terms called grinding. And we're going to go deep in what that is. If you're confused, like what is grinding, what are you talking about, don't worry, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna explain everything to you, especially our guest is gonna explain everything to you, and that is none other than Leila from Star Stable on Entertainment. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here again.
Yay! We're so happy to have you back. Because, I mean, you are, like, the best person to have here. Because you're, like, the creator of everything we have that is grinding, I think, in Star Stable.
Well, I think that is crediting me with a bit much. There's a large assortment of people at the company. I am by no means the creator of everything. But I have been involved in quite large parts of recent content that has been related to grinding. So hopefully I'll be able to answer some questions that Starfam might have about that.
Yeah, I think it is much needed now that we had some grinding in the game, and there might be some confusion, like why is grinding, why is it so repetitive and all that, and we're gonna answer them all. Don't worry. But first, we wanna ask you, Leila, because some of you might remember you from an earlier episode we had where we talked about...
It was about winter, wasn't it? Like snow in Jorvik and some stuff like that. I remember I was on with one. I was on with Mika at that time. I recall it.
And events in general, how it all works. Yeah, okay, yeah. Good. So basically, most of you should probably know. But since people know that sort of who you are, but we're gonna repeat, and I'm gonna ask you some questions because maybe there are people out there who's like, you're so cool, I want to do what you do. So that's why these questions are coming now. First of all, what is your role at Star Stable?
So I am a game designer, which is this role that is more difficult to explain usually, because while graphic artists make all the 3D models and animators make them come to life with movement, and programmers, well, most people, even if they don't know much code, they can imagine what a programmer does. They sit down and write snippets of code to make things work. So a designer is really a person who is aiming at consolidating the experience of the game. We're looking at the experience from the player side. We're looking at the mechanics. We decide what needs to be done, and we try to take everything and craft it into one wonderful experience for the players. We could be... One colleague of mine used to compare it to being the director of a movie.
Oh.
And I think that is kind of an apt comparison.
Yeah, I think it is. Cool. What did you have to study to start working with games?
I did a 2-year course in game design at the vocational school Playground Squad. That's in Falun, and they have programs for game design, game programming, and game art. So I did 2 years there, and the last time of the course was half a year of internship at a game company, and I did my internship at Star Stable, so I've actually been at Star Stable for my whole professional career as a game developer. Which is about 4 years now.
Oh, wow. Been there. 4 years, okay. And also we want to mention to all people, like, don't worry, somewhere in your country there is probably some kind of program or anything that you can find if you want to study game design, animation, or anything, because they're like exploding with programs in the world now that they know that they can make money out of games.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that with some clever googling you'll be able to find some schools in your country. And I would recommend anyone who's interested in actually pursuing a career in game development, whether it be art or programming or design, to check with what do the alumni say from the school, and how many that graduate from the school seem to be getting job within game development, because there's a lot of schools out there and some are less serious than others. So just as a warning.
Oh, that good tip. Thanks so much. That's very good. You've been studying and you've been working for 4 years with games, but how long have you actually been playing games?
Well, that is an interesting question because I can't really recall a time when I wasn't playing games. Even digital games, because my mom liked when computers started to become a thing. She got a computer at home and she liked to play games with it. So in the beginning, I was just sitting by and had basically no idea of what was happening, but pointing out what was going on at the screen. So I've really played games my whole life, you could say.
Wow. Cool.
I can't really remember exactly which game was my first game, but some of my most fond memories are from the Super Nintendo games, Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country. Those are things I was in contact with very early and formed a lot of me and my sister's oldest video game experience.
Cool. Now that you've been playing games for so long, is there like some kinds of games you prefer to play now?
Generally, my preference when it comes to playing games is that I like games that offers me something new that I haven't seen before. I kind of don't zoom in so much on one genre of games, but I like playing a lot of different things. But that tends to be difficult when like all the algorithms for recommendations is just, hey, if you like this, you might also like this. And I'm like, no, I want to find something different.
I want to try something new. Leave me alone.
But right now I'm playing through Dark Souls 3, and I've greatly been enjoying that series, for instance.
I threw my controller when I played that.
Oh my god. Oh goodness me. Okay, so we're happy to have you here again, and as I said, we're going to go into the topic very, very soon. But first, we're going to talk about personal update of July. Oh, July. I think I'm gonna start because mine has been just bleh. Like July has been for me like I discovered that 2020 could actually get worse. First of all, I've been working, and I did go on a little road trip with the family. And also I did buy my tiny little friend Vector. Luckily, he did not wake up now, because if you hear chirping in the background, people, that is because he is woken up. If you don't know who he is, I'm not gonna take all the entire time to explain who he is. I'm just gonna recommend you go to my YouTube channel and find the vlog where I bought him and you could meet him. So yeah, what actually has been bleh is that we had a huge plumbing accident in our newly renovated kitchen. Due to our neighbors upstairs decided that the plumbs needed to be flushed out with high pressure, and well, this building has not been flushed for quite a long time, so it backfired right up into our kitchen. So sewer water and stuff everywhere. 2 years old was that kitchen. So yeah, as we're recording, tomorrow they are coming to demolish the new kitchen.
Oh gosh.
Ouch.
Yes.
Thanks.
So we're not happy at all.
I don't imagine so.
Yeah, and the insurance company has been called in, and my dad is hunting everyone because he's like, we're not paying a penny for anything. But we'll have to pay a little sum anyway. But hopefully not too much, and we are hoping that we don't have to redo the entire kitchen since we were home and managed to stop the accident quite quickly. But yes, we'll see. But yeah, I'm just hoping that it could stop here. Can I be happy? So yeah, that has been my July. Cece, what has your July been like? I hope better than mine.
I've been unemployed. And my partner has had his vacation, so we have spent time together.
That's nice.
Yeah, having like a home vacation. You can't really go anywhere in these times. No. So yeah, we've been crafting and started to paint our Warhammer miniatures. And I played a lot of Star Stable with crafting and everything. But I got some very exciting news, and that is I got into the studies I wanted to go to.
Oh, congratulations!
Yay, thank you. So yeah, I'm gonna study 3D modeling and animation.
Awesome.
And I'm really excited.
What? Oh
yes.
Goodness, so cool.
Yeah, so I'm really happy. Like, I was so stressed out and sad getting, losing my job and everything.
Yeah,
so it feels really good that I have a secured fall at least.
Yes,
so yeah, I'm really happy.
Yay! Yay! Oh, so happy. Put in clapping animations and everything in PC. We need fireworks and stuff.
Yay, sparkle.
Yes. Okay, so now I'm happy again. Okay, TP, what have you been up to?
I have been playing Stardew a little bit more, catching up with some quests that I have had sitting for months, like the circus one, the Mayor Peanut race.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know doesn't sound like much, but it's been sitting there a really long time. And then working on the crafting, and I've got to halfway point with the Rune Runner. So
halfway
point, just over 60,000. So I'm super pleased about that because I'm way behind on it compared to everybody else. So I've been making decent progress with that, and then I had managed to max all of my horses.
Nice.
Then I was like, I have no horses to max, and I still have to get the Rune Runner. I'll go buy a horse, and it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Before the open house came out. So I was like, there with my club, and I was like, will I get the quarter, or will I get the Palomino Alcatiki from the app? And then I was like, I'm going to get the Palomino quarter, because I really liked it.
Yeah.
Compared to the other one. Like, I like both of them, but it was my preference out of the two, so I got it. And then the very next day,
yeah, I know.
Open house, and I was like, there's not going to be any new horses. And then I saw that Andalusian.
Oh, it's so pretty.
So pretty.
So, I had exactly 954 star coins on the morning of open house, so I can tell you now that I had 4 star coins when I left.
Aww.
So, yeah. Wow. So I've named, the Palomino quarter horse is called, Daryl. And I've named the Andalusian Arthur after Arthur Morgan from Red Dead. So, there's my 2 horses. So that's mostly what I've been up to, and also my garden, which I'm not going to start because I'm not shut up. But I can say I've actually managed to harvest some vegetables now. So, yeah. Pleased.
The vegetable. That's nice.
Yeah, it has been. It's good.
Yeah. And how's it going on the job front? Any news?
Not anything. Not anything at all. So I'm just waiting at this point. I'm thinking I might hear something in the next 2 weeks. If I don't, then I'm going to be a bit edgy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Keeping fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Leila, what have you been up to?
Well, I actually had 2 weeks of vacation in the middle of July, so I've been off from work for most of that time. I've been back now for 2 weeks and trying to put out the fires that have been caused by my 2-week absence. No, it's not that bad. It can manage. Things tend to manage themselves fine, but and it was nice to get a break because my parents were actually able to rent a car and we could go to a cabin in the countryside, so we could get away from the city and still not risk traveling in any way that could be infectious.
Yeah.
Which was very nice because since Star Stable has been working home, everyone has been working from home since March. Which means that my house is also my office, and the idea of taking vacation and staying at home didn't feel good when this place still kind of feel like an office a lot of the time. So I'm really grateful that we could, that I could just get away from it for a while.
Yeah.
But I think that helped me to not think about work for 2 weeks, which was a good point.
Oh, that's good.
But now I'm back and I'm completely focused on work again.
Yeah.
So that's also exciting.
Yeah, nice. Oof. Okay, so July has been up and down for everyone, and as you said, it has been vacation, A lot for, especially on Star Stable, a lot of people are on vacation or getting back from vacation or going to go on vacation. It's just, it's a little messy. But well-worthy vacation is happening at Star Stable. Okay, so grinding. As I said, it is a gaming sort of term, and I was sitting like, is it called? Or is it something that I've just heard and just thought that's the word? But it's something that basically, if we're gonna put it to something in Star Stable, grinding is what basically soul riding is, Pharaoh's Workshop, tokens collection, spider collection. I think so. You can stop me, Leila, if I'm wrong.
Well, all of those qualify, but also things like training a horse to level 15 would be another example of grinding.
Yeah, I was.
So it tends to be ever present in MMORPGs and games as service games.
Yeah. Also, like whenever you do dailies and building reputation is grinding. So there's a lot of grinding going on in all games. So yeah, I was thinking we're going to start with actually questions to Leila first, because I felt like, thank you all for the questions that you sent to us, very helpful. And I just felt like when I was putting this all together, it's like, okay, we need to know what grinding really is, all the quirks and stuff to think about and everything before we can really go into a discussion. So that's why I put questions to guests first this time. So Leila, are you ready?
I am ready. Let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. Or I'm a vegetarian. The asparagus and potatoes of this whole thing.
That sounded so delicious, by the way. No, I'm hungry again.
Yeah.
It's life. Okay, first question. Could you explain to us what grinding is?
Yes. When we're talking about grinding in games, we're usually talking about repetitive tasks that doesn't necessarily pose any new problems for the players to solve. It's usually using mechanics and systems that the player has already mastered, but that the player is still forced to repeat over a long term in order to progress or towards reach some kind of incentive that is put forward in the long term. So a good example of this would be the Rune Runner, as you mentioned before, that you get a horse if you progress if you manage to progress through this whole system.
Yes, if you are willing to put the work for it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that really separates grinding from different gameplay is, as mentioned, it has to be an activity that the player knows and that they really have mastered. So there could be variety thrown in, but there's really nothing new happening. If you compare it to something like if you play the game and you're doing a new quest line and you're presented with a new race, that's not necessarily grinding because you're presented with a problem you haven't encountered before. This is a new race. But when that race is added as a daily, and if you go play it every day in order to gain XP for your horse or Jorvik shilling, then that would be grinding.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Very good explanation to that. But then again, since it is so repetitive, and I know there is people that is like, it's boring, why do we have this? What is grinding in games for?
Well, it's in the best case scenario, grinding shouldn't be boring, but just to dive into a bit of gaming history here and move all the way back to the ancient 80s.
Greeks.
Oh yes, even the ancient Greeks who played Star Stable grinded. No, I was just gonna go back to the ancient time of the 1980s and discuss RPGs like Phantasy Star and Dragon Quest. There was some other series as well that came out during that time. I don't know, Final Fantasy or something. Don't think anything big ever became of that one. Anyway, Phantasy Star. All of these RPGs were really centered around grinding as a way to progressing because you have your characters have levels, but as you're going through the game, monsters will kill you faster. So you generally have to go around in an area, kill the monsters to get high enough level to get on with the game. And since games back then were fairly simplistic, the grinding was simply a way to extend the playtime of the game and making those few megabytes that fit into a NES cartridge worth the money you put into it. But even today, those principles haven't been fully abandoned, and in RPGs, grinding is still a very common way to extend what could be maybe a 20-hour RPG with a good story into a 60-hour RPG because it looks better on the packaging. Or for that matter, in social games like Facebook games or mobile games tend to use grinding a lot because it's easier to get the players' attention. Exactly. Yeah. especially when they can, hey, if you pay us a little bit, you don't have to grind as much for this, or even using the loot box mechanics that if you're getting random drops, then, well, if you didn't get what you want, then you have to keep grinding for the next loot box.
Is that also sort of pay to skip? Is that also something we call pay to win?
Yeah, to a degree.
It could definitely be that. It doesn't necessarily have to be pay to win if you're not actually getting any mechanical advantage to it. Like getting loot boxes in a lot of games that only contain aesthetics won't actually be so much pay to win, but you're definitely getting something. You're paying to get more progress than if you'd just be playing the game. Okay. And I feel like that's also fine. That's a business model, right? Yeah. But it all depends on how it's used. Grinding in itself can be quite if the activities are interesting in themselves, grinding can be a lot of fun. Like a lot of players probably log into Star Stable every day just to train their horses doing all the same races again. But a lot of people seem to enjoy that core loop as well. I think we'll get more into that as we move on with the questions. Yeah. Like, what's a bad grinding versus a good grind? But to summarize the point, grinding is usually either used to keep people active, artificially extend the lifetime of a game, or in order to extradite money in case it's a kind of pay to skip gate system.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I'm learning so much. Yeah. I'm like, haven't thought about it before. But are there different kinds of grindings then?
Yeah. Obviously, there are different activities that can be called grinding. Like in the beginning of this, you counted several just in Star Stable. With Fire's Workshop, you're gathering the ingredients and you're crafting items and delivering them to people. But in Soul Riding, you take your horse and go on missions. They're definitely different mechanically, but they're kind of the same kind of... If we're thinking about types of grinding, they're kind of the same system as far as the game is concerned, in that there's a hard limit that says you have to spend this much time or get this many points to get the Rune Runner, you have to spend this many points to get the Owl. So I would call that more of a hard limit grinding. Interestingly enough, there is actually another type of grinding that is called the skill grinding, which can be described as you're attempting an activity over and over again in order to just gain the proficiency necessary to clear it. A boss fight in most video games would be a good example. Like, you might have to repeat the same motions over and over again just to pass it, because you still need to gain the skills to pass the boss.
Could that also be, for example, I used to be competitive as a racer in Star Stable, like doing the same race over and over and over and over again to be top of the board, in a sense, because you're almost honing your own race skills there.
Exactly. Yeah. What you're doing is you're not gaining an advantage in the game, but you're more choosing to do the activity to gain an advantage out of game. And I'm really happy you mentioned racing, because I was going to make a point of speedrunning as a kind of voluntary metagamey way of skill riding, where people just play through the same game over and over and over again just to play it as fast as possible, even when that is not necessarily how the game was designed. But I find that to be a kind of interesting type of grinding, because skill grinding is often a choice by the player, or something that is not dependent on the game saying, no, you haven't reached this level yet.
Okay. I'm just sitting here going like, oh my god, okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, what was the next question? How long does it take to create a grinding system?
Oh, that's it really. I think that really depends on how fun you want the activities to be. Because I could probably take an hour and slap together a mobile app where, if you press one button in this game, you get 1 gold coin, and every time you do that, you get 1 gold coin. It would probably not be a very fun grind system, but it is a grind system. So it's a different question to give a definite answer to, because I think it's not just about the grind itself, but rather how interesting can we make the activities in them. And in Star Stable, creating something like soul riding took a lot of time. I was working on that for several months, and that was partly because it involved many different activities that took place all over the map, and also that it's made use of a randomized system, sort of, to choose what mission and location it was going to combine. So there was a lot of parts working together, so that took a lot longer than to build a collection, for instance.
Yeah, okay. How long did it take to do Farah's workshop?
Not as long as it took to do soul riding. Farah's workshop, I think we worked on that from the beginning of May to the middle of June, so about 1.5 months. But we were able to use a lot of things that were already present in the game to present a new kind of experience with it.
Okay. Wow.
I think there is still a lot of work that can be done there further, but I think we might get to that later.
Yeah, of course. I realize, next question you sort of answered, but does grinding have to be repetitive to be called grinding?
Yeah, I think, it doesn't need to feel repetitive, but grinding, usually the definition of grinding is that it uses the base mechanics and reward systems that the player has already mastered. Because when it starts presenting the players with different problems or choices, then you're just playing the game.
Yeah, okay. Okay, next question. You are, as we've said, one of the people behind Soul Riding and Farah's workshop. How did you come up with it, or how did you and the team come up with the idea?
Yeah, of course, it didn't necessarily start out fully formed as an idea, but for Soul Riding, I got assigned a problem to solve, which was basically that we'd like an activity that can engage players over a long period of time. And there was also a wish that we'd take we want something to be done with those old druid dailies.
Oh, yeah.
So the baseline of that was basically slap a reputation bar on the druid grinding and give the player a reward at the end. But I felt like there was the opportunity to do something more there, especially in the narrative of the druid training. It feels like, if you're training, you have to be training towards something. Can we actually make something more out of this? And I started sketching up a lot of plans on how the player would be sent on different missions by the druids, and a lot of things that never really left the ideation stage or were cut in production because of various reasons. But the base idea there was that something was going to be done that involved the druid training and that could engage players for a long period of time. And then we also wanted to see if we could give away a horse as a reward in the game, because that's something that's never really been done before.
Yeah.
And
it was wished for.
Yeah, I can imagine that must be one of the most highest wish points. And of course, selling horses is where most of the revenue in the game comes from. So it's not something we just want to give away just like that. But the idea was that if we at least could engage the players for a certain period of time where we'd feel like by this point they've earned the horse, and not making it so far that the players would feel like, oh, this is completely insurmountable, then we'd strike a good balance. I don't know if we managed to reach that balance, but I think that's also something that we'll see the further we go and the more feedback we gather.
Yeah, definitely. But so far, I feel like the people who has gotten the Rune Runner are like just they're happy to get the reward and also happy to be done, so to speak. And I guess that is sort of the feeling you want in the end.
Generally, I'd like to know that the feeling would be that they're happy to get the Rune Runner and hopefully that they had fun enough getting there. But considering that there was going to be a limited number of activities anyway, it's probably difficult to have made it interesting for as long time as it took, especially as some of the combinations of areas and missions turned out to be very frustrating, especially that panicked horse that tended to run through mountains.
And fast. It's very fast sometimes. I have no idea why.
And it turns like on a sixpence, it's just like, and it's gone.
Yeah. You can't even tell that it's gonna turn, it's just turned.
Yeah.
Like,
We've been gathering a lot of feedback on that, and I'm hoping that at some point we'll actually get the time to properly implement all feedback, and two, perhaps extending the system a bit further as well.
Ooh, that would be
but we'll see about that in the future.
It would be fun, like, for those who are done now and can't really go back to it. We might be actually talking about this in the next question, but to see if there were a way to them to sort of get back. But yeah, we'll take that in the next question. Never mind.
No, I was just going to mention Farah's workshop. That was a bit shorter ideation, and I worked with one other designer on that one.
Ooh.
And that one was actually meant to be something completely different at first.
Okay.
That sort of just turned into crafting as we were working on it, as we realized, hey, this is something we can actually do, and it seems to be the thing that, of everything that we've suggested, this seems to be the thing that excites people the most, so let's go with that.
Cool. And you can't say what it was supposed to be in the beginning, right?
I'm not sure if I should now, because we might return to that some other day.
Yeah. Now. Well, I tried, people. But moving on, do you think we will see more features like this in the future in SSO, like more grinding stuff?
Well, I definitely think that there will always be grinding by the nature of a game as a service. It will definitely require grinding at some point. But I think the biggest challenge at every point is just coming up with entertaining ways of packaging it, or making sure that this is something that people playing SSO actually want to spend their time doing. And we have several, I think we have a lot of ideas on the team that we'd wish to develop into further experiences and features.
Exciting.
Which I can't really talk about.
No, of course not.
But I think there will definitely be more grinding features to come, just by the nature of how it is as a game.
Oh, yes, of course. Then will there be improvements or any additions to the ones we already have? Yes.
Yeah, I sort of mentioned that with the druid grinding and first. We've been gathering information and feedback both on the druid missions and Farah's workshop. And there is a strong drive to support, especially Farah's workshop. The drive to support it is very strong because it's easy to add new content to it. At the very least, we'd like to fix the bugs that are present right now and add some more quality of life features to both. And over time, hopefully, both are things that can improve to feel like they're more integrated with the entire game itself. Crafting in particular, right now, just for Farah's workshop, is kind of an isolated experience. You always go to Farah, she's the connection point to everything. But in the future, I'd really like to see more done with crafting as something that you just do as part of the whole game. But I think there will be tiny steps to get there.
but it would be so exciting. That's
I hope that we can make it exciting.
Yay. Okay. Well, that was the last question that was just for you. Now we are actually going to move forward to discussion that I felt like, what do we think, we who are sitting here, about grinding and stuff? And as I was thinking the other day, for what I've seen on social media from both CC and TC, we're like, we are lacking a manic. Someone who is like a maniac when it comes to grinding, that is going like every day doing it all the time. We are lacking that person, sadly, but they seem to be around, so maybe you can ask someone else. But we're going to start with, do you like grinding in games? TC?
For me, it does depend on the activity. I'll take a couple of examples here. Both Star Stable and not Star Stable. If we have a look at like Star Stable with the Druid training, I've got to, as I said, about the halfway point now. And there's certain activities within the training, not the missions, that I've got bored of. Like a good example would be the symbol one, because it's very slow the way it goes through the animations. That one I find kind of tedious now. And what's the other one? The one where you run and change lanes, because I think the pattern's the same. Because I've done it so many times, I could be wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, it is the same.
Yeah, so I've kind of like, it's this, those things have become very repetitive. Whereas, like, when I'm chasing the lights or chasing that little ball around, that changes. So it doesn't feel as repetitive, but there are certain other elements there that I felt have got quite repetitive. But I love the amount of XP I get, and it makes it very easy to train horses without having to do races, because I used to be one of those people that did races every day, and then I raced competitively, and then I did championships, and I don't do that now. So it's been nice to have that, plus the animal herding, to be able to max horses. So in that regards, there has been elements of that I've liked. A particular kind of grinding that kind of reminds me, there is... in Horse Riding Tales, where you have to mine resources, it requires you to press a button and, either hold the button down or keep pressing the button and then go to the next resource. And it can get a bit repetitive, but I tend to, when I'm doing something that repetitive, do something else. So I'll usually watch TV when I do that, for example. Whereas when I'm doing, like, the solo riding missions, I am absolutely not going to look at a TV screen because they're so stressful. So it can depend on the game for me, because I am, to a degree, a completionist. I like to complete games if I enjoy them. I like to progress and have all the achievements. So there are certain games that I'll get frustrated with. Whenever we were talking about Dark Souls 3 earlier, yes, I did throw a controller when I was playing that. I kind of got frustrated with it, but I did eventually continue. So there are different elements, but I think it's how interesting the activity is, because I can do something over and over and over again, but it has to keep me entertained. Like, there are certain games, I think, if I look back at the games that I've played, while I have played story-led games, there's also been games that I've played which are extremely repetitive. If you, like, Dead by Daylight, for example, and Call of Duty Zombies, you're kind of doing it's the same mechanics over and over again, but the scenario in which those happen can be very different depending on what other players do, where the zombies come from, things like that. So even though I'm grinding for points in those and I'm doing the same, like, mechanics over and over and over again, I find it endlessly fun and I continue to do it. So I would say yes, I do like grinding in games, but it can depend on the grinding.
Yeah, I have to agree that it is, for me, yes, to some extent. And as you said, it has to be entertaining, it has to be not too repetitive, and if it is too repetitive, it has to be something that I like to do. So when it comes to, like, leveling up your horse, like, there you have the changing of courses, and you can pick which course you would like. And there is, like, even on there, I know there are, like, people that can't start leveling their horse that day without having to complete all races. And
I used to be that person.
Oh my god.
Me too. Me too.
Why?
Long time ago.
Yes.
I'm like, I only gonna do the ones I like, and then I'm done. in the end, it's gonna reach my goal anyway, so I'm not in a hurry. And that is basically how I feel about the soul riding. I go up there, and since it is, as you said, you don't really look at anything else when you do those missions, which I like to have that sort of change of repetitive grinding to feel like, okay, now I can't just have a series on or anything. I have to focus. I still go up there, look at what missions and training I have that day, and only do the ones that I like. If sometimes if I'm having a really good day and I feel like, you know what, I'm gonna do them all, then that's a very good day. But I tend to not to have those days much anymore. So I'm gonna do just what I like, and the same with the flowers. I don't run around all the map to find all the flowers that day. I'm gonna run and find some flower there and a flower there, and go and I do the orders, and then I'm like, I'm done today.
I have my favorite plants. Just go back to the same ones over and over again.
Oh wow, you camping plants or plants. So, but in the end, I like the grinding because, as you said, it's nice to have something to do while you also have like a series on or a podcast on or music or anything. It's like that. Like people go and train or read a book. For me, that is like chilling and doing something. Maybe not the soul riding, but the flower stuff is chilling and training and relaxing after a long day at work.
Yeah, so like, it's kind of, as you say, it's a really good point, is the fact that you can have really chill grinding and then really stressful grinding. And I think to have both is important.
Yeah.
Because it's not everybody likes being stressed, and some people like being stressed. So, yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, because as I was looking at from the comments, some people were like thinking like Pharisees are boring, and then they like the soul riding, so they are like the kind of person that is like, okay, you like to feel like I'm doing something, and that I bet you that these are the people that can't just go and level without having to have top gear and everything just to maybe reach the best score that day. Like there are some different kinds of players, of course. So yeah, so I like grinding. It's my chill time. So that's why soul riding is like the first thing I do whenever I log in, because then after that it's real chill time. Cici, what do you think about grinding? Do you like it?
I also think it depends on the game. So for example, when it comes to mobile games, the ones that I played, or the ones I've heard of, have mostly been that type pay to skip. Usually like some kind of energy system that you have limited amount of energy, and then you have to wait like 4 hours before you can do another thing, and so on. Those can be quite frustrating because often they feel like you're in the mood to play the game, but then you are restricted. Then you can't, get anywhere forward without having to wait. And if you don't want to wait, you have to pay. That can be not so fun at times. So that kind of grinding is not really my favorite. But the soul riding was really fun. I did log in every day and did everything.
Oh my god, you're the man.
Yeah. Except for like I went away to visit my sister, so I think I missed like 3 days.
How did you feel? Were you stressed?
I thought I would be really stressed, but when I went away, I was like, it wasn't that big of a deal, I can do them later. And when I got home, I only had like 2 days left to get the Moonrunner. So there was no need to stress over it anyways. I actually didn't keep track on how long it would take. So I was really like, oh my god, I'm getting it today. I'm getting it now. Oh wow. So yeah, it was a surprise. That was really fun. But I really like to have something to do every day in the game. As a high level player, it's really important to have that endgame content. But for other games, I've started to play World of Warcraft again, and they have quite a lot of reputation grinds. Yeah. So there's a lot of different reputations that require quite a lot to go up in the highest level that is called Exalted. and I'm trying to unlock a playable race called Cool-Terran Human.
Oh yeah.
And it takes forever. So you really need like I'm not sure. It feels like there's like 100,000 XP points, and you kind of get a small amount every day, and it feels like it's gonna take me months to get there. So that kind of feeling like you have to log in every day for months or even like a year, that can feel a bit too much.
Yeah.
That can really make you feel, you know, if there, yeah, it's like time is money, so to speak. So then the reward really has to be like really rewarding.
I think you make a good point about, the mobile games. Because one game that really frustrated me was Rival Stars. Because it had an energy system. And even though I wanted to play the game, I couldn't progress and continue to race because I needed energy and my horses only had so much energy. And it wasn't like for individual horses, it was just like all of them. The energy applied to all of them as far as I remember. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on this. But I'm pretty sure you had an energy bar, and then once you raced, that was it. And that was one thing that kind of frustrated me with that game when I played it on mobile. It was too much centered on that, and it put me off. And then I had a bunch of problems playing it, so I just stopped because the app itself kept crashing. But like if I look at like Horse Riding Tales, for example, as a mobile game, yes, there was elements of it where it would be like you can do this and you get resources. Because I could literally spend the time to do the resources, and it was a very easy thing to sit in front of the TV and just mine, sort of without paying too much attention. I appreciated that because I didn't feel stressed. I could do it when I wanted. And at one point I had to get like 90,000 resources, and that took me, I think, 8 hours maybe or more.
Oh wow.
Now I didn't do it all in one go, but it took me about 8 hours roughly to mine all of that. And yes, it was a lot, but I appreciated the fact that I could do it when I wanted, whereas like what annoyed me with Rival Stars with that energy bar, it was just like, it's gone. I mean, there's other elements, maybe like there's a race mode in Horse Riding Tales where you get 5 tickets per day, and you can use 3 tickets per race. So obviously the 5 tickets, you can only do 1 race with 1 horse. But
it's very limiting.
Which was limiting, but it didn't stop me doing other elements of the game, so that didn't bother me. And if you won one of those races, you got real in-game currency, so I understood why they limited it, in that regard. So I think it's very dependent sometimes on how those mechanics are used, and if they do limit you in one sense, they shouldn't limit you in another, because then it can just make you close the app and just say, I can't be bothered.
Okay. Leila, of course, do you like grinding in games?
Yeah, I think I need to echo the same answer here, that I find it enjoyable when the activities are enjoyable. But just to dig a bit deeper into game dev terminology, I think that what actually makes grinding enjoyable is partly that the activities are fun, but also that there is some sort of progression that the players can easily see happening. And that progression should ideally have interesting choices linked to them, because as the great game designer Sid Meier says, a game is a series of interesting choices. So something like Stardew Valley is something I like to bring up as a good example of grinding, because I've started like, I don't know how many different farms I've started in Stardew Valley, because and every day I like going out and watering my vegetables and going out and chopping down trees, because it rewards me with things that I can use to buy new things. So the progression is always there, but I also choose as a player how to progress. Like, do I wish to invest my my vegetable money into buying more vegetables, or do I want to buy a coop for my chickens, or do I use it to buy better weapons to proceed through the mines? I think that Stardew Valley is a game that does grinding exceptionally well in a single player game, And it's also brilliantly based around each day being limited time. So you never have time to do everything that you want in one whole day. No. So you kind of have to plan it out, and then you look forward to the next day, because then you can do the things that you didn't have time for that day.
Aww.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Stardew Valley is amazing.
Yeah.
So cute.
Such a relaxing game.
Yes.
But then when I was thinking about grinding in games, I actually came up with a game where grinding is weirdly interesting, even though the game doesn't reward you at all for it. And that game is Minecraft.
Oh,
weirdly,
yeah.
Because if I can remember times when me or a friend have been searching for diamonds in Minecraft, and you can build better tools with it, but if you're just using it as building materials, there are really no goals that the game tells you except for the ones that you set for yourself. And me and a friend, for instance, at one time we dug out so many diamonds that we decided we're just gonna build an entire modern styled house completely out of diamonds to brag our wealth over the server. And there's no point in doing that, so really, if you're looking at the game mechanically, because the game is not going to reward you, but you yourself have set that up. So you want to build this thing, and then you have to grind for materials to get it. This is Minecraft survival mode, obviously. Creative is a different affair, but I thought that was interesting to point out, because it's a sort of voluntary grinding for making stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, in the context of Star Stable, soul grinding is a more linear progression where you don't have many options. But Ampharis Workshop might be that right now, but I feel like that's something that could offer the opportunity to have more branches.
Yeah.
If we had more recipes, you could actually maybe make choices on how to proceed, or do you wish to spend your crafting ingredients that you've earned in order to complete the missions and get some more reputation, or do you want to craft the things that you want to wear on your character? I think there is a lot of opportunity in evolving those as well.
Yeah, I'm like, yes, please, everything. I want it all. Okay, moving over to the next question. I feel like I already been in this one. Bad me. Do you go all in and grind every day, or when you feel like it? We have been here, but I'm gonna say, as you've heard before, nope, I do not. I do what I feel like, and because I know I will get the reward in the end, and who else is stressing me but myself? And I have other stuff in my life that stresses me, so this is just gonna be my chill time, and I will get my reward in the end. Santa will come someday. So that's me. TC?
Depends sometimes. If I like the reward or I want to have the item as quickly as possible, then I will do it every single day. And if it's something that I'm more relaxed about, I'll just kind of do it when I feel like. So typically maybe more the grind every day would be me, because I do tend to, when I start something, I like to just keep going on it, but sometimes there's certain games that, I just kind of do it more in a more relaxed way.
Nice, okay. CC?
Yeah, I'm kind of like the same. I try to not stress about it, but sometimes you kind of feel like the pressure as being like a content creator. You want to try it out and then post on Instagram and show everyone this is how you do, and be a part of that whole like with the soul riding, for example. You want to be it was kind of in a way sort of like an event, like who will get it first, that kind of feeling.
That feeling just made me, because I do know what you're talking about. I definitely felt it in the community, and I was like, that just threw me off even more. Like, then I'm not gonna do it for a week just so I want to be late.
So in the beginning I was kind of really like logging in every day and trying my best to really like be in that sort of quote unquote race. But then when I in the beginning I was like devastated when I lost the mission. I was like, no. But the more missions I lost, I was like, I got more chill about it. I was like, okay, well, I will get it in the end,
Yeah.
No biggie.
Like, try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, with the training of horses in Star Stable, that is also an example of voluntarily grinding, because your starter horse is basically technically the only horse you need to be at a higher level, like full level at level 15, for being able to do all the quests well. But all the other horses that you buy, if you're not gonna race, then technically there's no reason for it to be level 15. It's just something that, it's just a thing that you do. You just train your horses up to level 15.
Yeah.
And I kind of struggle with that training grind, because you have done it so much over the years. So the training my horses, I only do when I feel like it. So yeah, I only do like this. I really appreciate that soul riding is still there even after you get the Rune Runner, because it's the main place for me to go when I want to train my horses nowadays. I only do like the soul training.
Oh, huh. Even when you've got the Rune Runner?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That's nice. Well, definitely. I can see myself actually going back and do the lost creatures from Pandoria, because I just love how they sound.
And the XP from the soul training and soul missions is really rewarding if you're like me and you just can't bother to do all the other races. Then you just want for a short amount of time you get more XP.
Okay. And Leila?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you mentioned the community drive to like getting the Rune Runner first and trying to be the first, because I think this question gets more interesting when you think about, is it something you have to grind for within a time limit?
Yeah.
Because if there's no time limit, or if it's a single player game, I probably wouldn't be going in to grind for it every day, but rather when I feel like it. And if I don't enjoy what the game offers, I wouldn't be grinding at all. But if it's a game I already enjoy and they're running some kind of limited time event and there's something in there that's like, oh, I can only get this during this time, then that's suddenly a stronger feeling that I want to log in every day and I want to grind every day. Of course, if a game, like many mobile games and a few other games as well, just directly compels me to grind too much from the beginning, I might just put the game away immediately, because I've seen so many games and I do not have enough time on my hands to deal with that. But if it's a game I'm into anyway, it's too easy to go like, ooh, Lizard Brain wants pretty thing, and try to go for it, even if I don't necessarily know what to do with it. So if it's time limited and it's a game I really like, then I might be able to get on every day. But it's also an urge I've tried more to fight the older I get, because once you're working too much, you don't have as much time to spend on grinding activities anymore.
No. Yeah. Now that you mentioned the time limit, that I feel like I missed that question to have, since we have like now, let's see, now Halloween and Christmas, we've had the sprouts and the Yule goats that is grinding definitely, and it was time limited. And also now that we got the donkeys this weekend, I definitely noticed that there were a lot of people that thought that was actually time limited, but we can tell you it's not. It's permanent, so you don't need to stress. But that kind of grinding is also very special, because as you said, that is something that is almost forcing you into getting into the grinding like right away. And you have a time limit. And in the beginning I thought it was fun, but now that we get them, if they are short, like we did the gold digging we had. Yeah. For some reason, that kind of, when it's short, like the reward needs to be very special for me to feel like I need to do this. And also I struggle since I am a YouTuber and I'm supposed to do all the updates. There I always have a discussion with myself, like, is it really worth my channel and my mind and me? So I tend to, like, I try it out the first day and then I go like, there's other YouTubers that is gonna show everything, so go ahead. I just gonna show how it works. So I am more into the grindings that are permanent than time limited. What do you think, CC and TC?
I kind of get what you mean, because if you look at, like, with the spiders, I went mad for that. I was like, I'm finding these all today.
Wow.
But then, like, with the donkeys, I woke up and I was like, I'm gonna wait till somebody else does this, then I'm gonna go
and go and look at the video. Which I did anyway.
Yeah, so it just depends sometimes. I mean, like, if you take the Yule goats, for example, I did the Yule goats every single day. And they did stress me a little bit, I'll be honest. They did sometimes. I was like, not the Yule goats. It was giving me PTSD, but from the Winter's Village when they used to run away and then go invisible and hide, so that was mostly why. But I enjoyed getting the rewards for that and having them, so I did do those every single day, and then with the pumpkins as well. So I think for me, it can depend as well, whether they're limited or not, because actually another thing I think, Leila, you mentioned was whenever you look at a game and you're like, this is too grinding from the get-go. For example, I have 3 main mobile games that I play right now, and there was 2 more that people wanted me to play, and I was like, no, I can't. I have to grind in 3 games already. I cannot manage another 2 on top of this. So I had to choose which ones I was going to focus on and just throw myself into those. Even though some of the other ones really appealed to me, I was like, I don't have the time to do those 2. So you do have to kind of pick and choose sometimes as well.
Yeah. Okay. You feel the same, Cece? Nothing?
Yeah. What I really liked about the Yule goats and what was the other one? The pumpkins. Was that it was voluntarily. And also, you earned points, and for those points, you could choose what you wanted to cash in.
I have to agree
you could choose. That was the absolute best part. Because then your time that you spent was really personalized, and it really felt like you got an extra reward that you could pick and choose what you wanted. So that grind, even though it was a limited timed event, you could still choose more in a way what you wanted with the time spent.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I have to agree there, because like with the Christmas one, some of the Christmas jumpers, I was like, never gonna wear that. Never gonna wear that. But this is me.
That was really good. Really well done.
Really like that system.
That's actually something that I wondered about when we did the Yule goats, because the Yule goats had actually had 2 levels of progression. With the pumpkins, it was just you earn the things and then you choose which level you buy from. But the Yule goats also had like a reward depending on how many portals you closed, and that was just 1 bar. So if you wanted was it a cat or a dog?
Cat.
Was a pet at the end of that you kind of had to do the whole thing to get?
2, there was a dog and there was a cat. One of them you got off the bar, and one of them you could choose to get.
I think it was a cat.
And I like the idea that there's 2. There's one that's like, okay, if you grind a lot, you can get this, but then you also have these branching choices. I think I might have tweaked the balance on that a bit, but we will have to see next time Christmas, or next time the holidays roll around, and see what we'll choose to do there.
Exciting. Okay. We're going towards the next question. Can there be too much grinding? And since now we've been hearing what grinding is, I'm like, grinding is game. But what do you think, TC? Can there be too much grinding?
Yes, sometimes there can be. Because I have played games, I think, sometimes where Especially if you can't really see progress sometimes. You feel very overwhelmed, or if it's not well balanced, then you feel like you're going and doing the same thing over and over again, but you don't really feel like you're moving that much. So I think sometimes, like, for example, let's say if the Rune Runner, this would be an example, right? Let's just say for the Rune Runner, it just said 0 to, what was it, 120,000, okay?
Yeah, I think so.
And you just saw that, but you didn't have the little, like, fountain thing with the flames, where it shows you smaller stages.
Yes.
That is such a good thing, because sometimes if you look at the overall one, it's overwhelming, whereas that's broken down and you see it, and it's like, makes you feel like you're making progress, even if you're only a fifth of the way, or 5% of the way. So I think that can be very important. But yes, and I think sometimes it can also just be a case of, whenever you're playing multiple games, as I mentioned a minute ago, that have a lot of grinding mechanics, then you just feel overwhelmed. But that's not a particular game's fault, that's just my gaming choices.
Yes. I'm like, that's technically yours.
Yes.
Okay, interesting, because I was going to say no. And that is because, as I said before, I'm choosing what I'm gonna do, because I like, now that I'm playing WoW, for instance, there are tons of grindings and achievements to get, and I'm like, I have my friend Frida, who is like, she's doing everything, like, that is, she's like manic. She's insane.
Wow.
And I'm there going like, what do I feel like doing now? Now I want flying in BFA. I'm gonna do just that right now. And she's like doing multiple, but I'm like, I have work, and I'm gonna, when I end work, I'm gonna do what I need to do, and then I'm moving off to another game, like SO doing the soul riding and that. So for me, I feel like there can't be too much grinding, because if there are tons, then I just choose what I want to do and just ignore everything else. It is too much if there is grinding that sort of needs to be done to really progress in the game, if that is like, if that is tons of them. But if there are a lot of grindings that just gives you stuff because of fun of it, then I feel like, go ahead, do tons. Multiple choices, I like that. So yeah, that's what I feel. Cici?
I agree. It kind of depends on the game, but also it kind of depends on what kind of gamer you are. For example, several years ago with Star Stable, when there was a lot of reputations added, and with that, the heart icon that was added.
Oh yeah.
With the reputation. I actually had a lot of friends that stopped playing Star Stable because of that, because they got bored with the reputation grind. They just felt overwhelmed. Like that was the only thing to progress with the questing in the game at that time. Me personally, I didn't mind. I just thought they were fun to do, and and it was different dailies each day. And you got your chillings,
Yeah.
So that wasn't a problem for me.
No, that is sort of the game. But okay.
I think I get what you mean, though, because I remember when I started my American game, and I started to replay, and it was like there was a steady stream of quests, and then suddenly there was loads. And I did be oh, okay. I don't want to do all these. And then I went back on UK and read it all done. So I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm quite interesting when you say that they stopped playing, because now that I'm working on Star Stable, I get to hear a lot more than I did only from my social media, and I get that there are players that start playing Star Stable only doing the main quest, and then when they reach a point where they can't get into a specific area, they're like, they saying that I need to go in there, but I can't go in there because I haven't unlocked it. What is wrong with the game? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you have to actually do all the other quests that are in the game. And also the one with Catherine's memory, one that is in Mistfall, that is on the trail. That is also something that people, they're like, can I just get a butterfly, because I don't want to do the reputation grinding with Jorvik Rangers. And I'm like, but why don't you want to do it? It's quests that gets from that. And they're like, no, I just want the butterfly. You shouldn't have put it there. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you have to do the grinding.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how people are just like, I just want to do the main quest. I'm like, but you're paying for the whole game. Why don't you just play the whole game?
Yeah. I really agree with you, Rose, that grinding is, grinding is game, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, without the grinding, then most games, they just will become very short.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and such a big game as Stardew Valley is, it needs it to survive longer. So yeah, I think grinding is very important. But with Stardew Valley, there is a lot of different types of grinding with the reputation. You got training with your horses and soul riding and the collections.
Yeah,
like a lot is voluntarily also. And in the end of the day, you are the one that chose to play the game, and if you don't want to play, then don't play. It's kind of that easy.
Yeah.
So
you're just the goal. But okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Leila, what do you have to say about this?
Well, I'd say that there can definitely be too much grinding, because even if it's badly done, then even a little bit is too much.
Oh yeah.
But as you've said, in a lot of games, grinding is a big part of it, and if it's an enjoyable activity, then I believe I mentioned I've started like 5 different farms in Stardew Valley or more because I just enjoyed the game so much. But I think that whenever there's grinding, it's important that the things you're doing are in order to reach a goal, and that they're not just necessarily a blocker in order to move on. And to get an example from Star Stable, when back when we introduced Quest Chain, I was going to say the number, but there's no point in that. The quest chain where you analyze the runestones.
Oh yeah.
Like back in the day, that was a reputation grinding quest. A lot of listeners might not know that is not the case anymore. But when that was introduced, I believe that when we went back and checked that, we calculated it that you actually had to spend like over 30 days if you get every stone each day, just to get to the next point in the story quest.
Wow, that's a month.
and that just felt ridiculous. When okay, that you should be. It's okay to slow down sometimes and give the players some things to do in order to proceed, but spending a month just in order to get to the next main quest, that didn't feel quite right. So we ended up cutting the time on that down to 1 week, and then later removing it as a grinding activity completely, just keeping it as a minigame in that one quest chain. Because it wasn't really in phase with our core philosophy of how we wanted to design the main quests anymore. At the same time, we do want to encourage players to always explore the world and use that to find out how to proceed. So we naturally want players to not only follow the main quest line, but also branch off and see like, oh, this place seems interesting. Here's a broken bridge that leads to some place called the Harvest Countries. Yeah, I wonder what I can find on the other side of that bridge. And when Star Stable is concerned, since we're aiming the game towards a lot of younger players as well, the question of humane game design and grinding tends to come up. Because it's often a question that comes up like, why are the numbers of something you can do limited in Star Stable? And it's at its core, it's really to try to gate the session length of younger players. Because I know that when I think someone mentioned it earlier, like have to get all the spiders when they were released, and a lot of our community feels like that. I was surprised to see that when the spiders were released, and there were some people, you know who you are, that stayed up until like 4 a.m. just to get the spiders, all the spiders in the same day that they were released.
Took me 11 hours.
Oh wow!
That's just like in some cases, I feel like it's fine that if it's possible to spend that amount of game if you're an adult and you can make your own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of kids aren't necessarily good at making their own decisions. And it's good to offer them some kind of exit points along the way. It might not be something we're doing optimally yet. And it's probably something we can work a lot more on, but that's definitely a consideration when it comes to limiting how much you can grind at one time in Star Stable.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, there is a limit on how many missions you can do in one day on Soul Riding.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just go and do mission.
Yeah, I wonder that if I had said that no, you can every time you complete a mission, a new one pops up. Yeah. I wonder how many would have gotten the Rune Runner in the first day.
That would be
a lot.
There were people that got the oil, I think, within 2 days. So would put it past people. I mean,
and that kind of thing isn't necessarily enjoyable for the player doing it. In this case, they might just do it because the reward is so strong. Definitely the Rune Runner, but also the kind of prestige that you can say on social media that I was the first person to do this, even if I had to stay awake 8 hours straight to play Star Stable just to get a horse. And that kind of thing may really hamper a person's enjoyment of the game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even remember if I knew what I was getting at the end of the quest with the spiders, but I started looking with my club, and we searched, and then a lot of them went off, and then I continued. And it's funny because I didn't really like spiders, but actually after doing that mission, I actually respect tarantulas way more. And I actually ended up looking up things about tarantulas because I was like, I'm not kind of fascinated.
Aww, that's lovely.
And that pet is actually one of my favorites now. Out of all the pets that I
adorable.
have. So
I want more colors on. I don't want a pink one.
Yeah, I was kind of like, it is pink, but I forgive it.
We were supposed to add a little shop somewhere where you could buy the spiders in other colors, but we never did. It might be something we revisit someday if we feel like they're still up to quality. The most fun thing I had about working on the spider collection was definitely that you can walk into Professor Hayden's house and see all the spiders there as you collect them. It's a completely unnecessary and dumb detail, but I love that I did.
Yeah, I was like, all the spiders are here now. But that's the thing with the donkeys that you collected, that you could see them gathering by Mary.
Yeah. It's so like that.
Yeah. Or have a little donkey conga line going on, which is fun.
Oh my god, that's nice.
Super cute.
The donkeys are so cute.
Oh.
Yeah.
Donkeys. Okay, next question. What do you think of the Soul Riding Pharaoh's Workshop and collections in general? Because we do have, as I said, tokens, spiders. We have butterflies, stars. Oh, the stars is the oldest one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stars existed before collections were even a thing.
Yeah.
They're from the old Stardew Legacy games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So what do you think about all those? Let's start with Cici. I know you don't like collections.
Yeah, not really, because, well, for example, the stars, there's not really a reward in the end, at least not for me. Like, if I collect all the stars, then I have collected all the stars, but for me, I don't necessarily need that, look at me, I have all the stars, I think I actively went on a star hunt once in all my years of playing. Although the stars I've just been like, oh, I'm gonna ride, and oops, I fell down a cliff. Or oh, a star, wow.
That's how so many stars have been found.
Yeah. But I did went crazy with the Pharaoh's Workshop when it arrived. Because it was the first day of my vacation, and I've been craving for a craft thing in general in Starship for so long. So I just thought it was amazing and so much fun. So I was only doing that for several days, that was like the only thing I did, like running around, taking all the flowers. I actually did it so much, so I injured my hand, like my muscles. So I was like, okay, I'm going way overboard. I need to chill. So yeah, it was very addicting in a way. For one thing, because that was a function I've been wishing for so many years. And also it was, something to do in the game. So yeah, I've been, I really had to chill with that one. So now I only do like the daily missions. But the other collections, I'm just not really motivated to do them. I'm not really sure why. What did you say?
Catherine's Memories, not even that one, collecting butterflies?
That one was my favorite, actually, because you got lore from it, and lore is everything. I love lore, so that one I was definitely motivated to do. And the quest line, it was really beautiful, and I love Linda. She's so cool. So it was really, for one thing, visit her in her room. Oh, lovely. And you see her. It was more like, it was a collection, but it was also a quest line. So it was more to it than only like ride around and search for things. So it was more fun for me in a way. So I guess I need maybe, I don't know if I'm lazy in a way, or if I'm just a different kind of player. I just need more motivation, more reward, I guess, for collections.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. TC?
When it comes to soul riding, I do enjoy the soul riding. As I mentioned earlier, there's certain ones, the training ones, that I've found repetitive now. But I'm not even actually worried about getting the Rune Runner. As silly as that sounds, I've actually been enjoying more like the fact that I'm getting XP for my horses and the little bits of story in between. That is actually what I've enjoyed more. So I'm not actually overly that worried. When I get the Rune Runner, I'll get it. But I'm not actually like really that focused on the horse, which is surprising actually, because usually in a lot of things I look forward to the reward at the end, but I'm actually not too bothered. There, far as workshop, when that came out, I went around looking for plants, and after I got to 89 plants, I was like, you know what, that's enough, that'll do. And I didn't do any more searching after that, because I was like, part of me wants to find every single location so I can post something with all of the locations, but I also was sick that day, and I was just like, I think 89's enough. So I thought, like, people could find the rest. Leave you a bit of work to do. So I like doing that. I've been doing that every single day. Other if I haven't actually logged in, I won't. But I've been trying to work through that, and quite liking that. You get little pieces of like a storyline as you get through it. So it doesn't feel quite as overwhelming just getting to the Isle, if that makes sense. Then when I figured out that I could make other clothing items, I had a wee freak out, because I was like, I didn't realize I could do this. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm going to have to go around and collect a lot more to do that. Collections, I haven't done the token ones yet. I haven't done Catherine's Memories. I will. But I've been trying to catch up with my other side quests first to get them out of the room before I do anything else. Spiders, we know what I did with the spiders. Stars, I have all of the stars, and I like having all of them, because as I said, I like completing things. So even though the stars don't do anything, I made sure I got them. So yeah, I think overall I have enjoyed these things, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they're expanded in future.
I can say that I'm in love with Pharaoh's Workshop, because it's something you can do while you do other stuff, and you can create things with the flowers you collect. So I'm really looking forward to see if, any improvements, like more tack or so, because right now the things we can create, the outfits and stuff, like they're very cool. It's not really my outfit, or sort of what I like to wear in general, but I'm gonna have at least one outfit out of that, so I'm going for, or maybe two. But I want other stuff to craft as well, so I'm really looking forward to more of that, to see how it's gonna be developing. The soul riding, I was really excited when we got the teasers and everything, and in the beginning I was just like, I knew, since this was grinding, so I know I would get to a state when I'm like, okay, I have to do the soul riding again today. But in the beginning I was very excited and to do all the training, and then we got the mission, so I had to do all the missions to know how it all is. But now that I've done everything, and it's just trying to get that rune runner is great. But as TC said, all the parts where you get like an outfit, you get lore, you get other stuff, you get stuff on the way. I feel it's just so important, because when you have like World of Warcraft, where you have to reputation grind at least 5-6 reputations, and you have to do quests to do that, to get flying in an area. It's so annoying. But here you get stuff on the way, and I really enjoy it. When it comes to collections, I tend to like it, because I see it as an opportunity to like gather some friends, sit on Discord, and just go searching. Maybe grab like a map where people has to go like, they're here, right here, so you just run around your weekend collecting everything, not even searching, you just go into the locations where people has pinpointed, like you can find them here. So I really like it. I haven't finished Token though, because I feel like maybe I missed the opportunities to really gather friends and do it. But I really, as you said, Cici, I really enjoyed Catherine's memories. And what we got, and it was just so emotional in the end.
Yeah, it was beautifully written and just executed overall.
Yeah, really loved it. So even if you are not a collection person, I mean, just do it anyway, because it's worth it.
Yeah, for the gameplay. Yeah.
Yes, for the gameplay. As I said, I like variations. For me, the reward doesn't need to be big, but then again, I'm not really doing token, because I feel like I don't really need a plushie. So I do token when I find him, and I go like, oh, picture, click, and then I go on. Stars, I have them all, but that is the really one where I collect friends and go like, we're going to look for stars. That is what it all came from. It's memories, basically, when it comes to that. But yeah, so what was the question again? Yeah, I like them all. I just glanced on the question like, what was it? I just like them all for various reasons, and I don't really need a big reward in the end, because if I'm bored, I'm gonna do like, if there is a day when I go like, I really have nothing to do, I might as well do token. But so far there are other things to do.
Okay.
In general.
That's interesting.
Leila, you have been part of stuff, and then you haven't been part of the star stuff. But what do you think? What do you think of them all?
Well, I did add quite a lot of stars actually. I think I've added something like 30 of the stars in the game.
Oh, nice.
Mainly because when I was an intern, it was kind of an easy job to get started with, to add some new stars. And the first thing that the guy who was in charge of the signings back then told me that, well, no one really needs to collect the stars from anything, so you can do kind of anything that you want with them. So I just took that advice and ran with it. So the most annoying stars in the game are probably my fault.
Nice.
I just used them as an experiment with, hey, what can I actually do in the game? Oh, wait, can I make like a puzzle where you need to stand on 4 different stones and then a star appears in the middle, and I'm gonna put a star floating under a bridge. Can I get it? It took me a few tries. I guess the players can get it. It was a lot of fun it's always a lot of fun to make stars, because
did you make the star on the Goldspur ranch? No, not the Goldspur farm with the windmill.
Yes, that's one of mine.
Oh my god, it's so annoying. I love it. I just can't figure out how to get it. I need to look it up.
That's just typically indicative of my kind of humor. I just find it amazingly funny that a star would get stuck on the windmill and now it's just rotating around until you grab it at the right time. But in the scope of things, a star is a kind of minor thing I've been working on comparing to all of the others. I didn't work on Catherine's memories and I didn't work on Token, but pretty much everything else that's been mentioned here I've had a hand in at some point. I didn't create the donkeys, but that's I supervised the designer who was creating them, sort of, or more like guided her in how to use the collection system. So I've been part of that anyway.
Cool.
But I find it difficult to say what I think about things I've been working on, because every time I look at something I've been working on, I feel like I could do so many things more, or I could just with a few more weeks I could totally add this thing or do this other thing.
Yeah.
And I almost never play my own things that I add to the game, because in development I've played them so much that that's enough. But I find it fun that you're mentioning both that lore is everything, which I like, because I love the lore of the game as well, and it's something I'm always interested in, and I think that it's fun when other people are interested in it as well, because I like seeing more discussions about lore and speculations, and normally we haven't been able to provide any way to get lore besides quests. But now when we have a section in the player journal where we can sort of reward the player with lore books, that opens up a new opportunity to deliver some lore on things going on in Jorvik that might not be related directly to the player character. And other ways to tell stories through that. So that's pretty interesting.
I have a really random question. You might know the answer, you might not, but I'm going to ask it. Who put the spider underneath the diving board of Forpenta?
I put all the spiders.
Because that one is so tricky. You have to smash your horse's face into the post again. It took me so long to get that one. I don't think any other ones, out of everything else, I think that was the hardest one to get.
I think the funniest spiders I recall was mostly spiders that were just placed in obscure location where they had no reason being. There was one in those cages where Anwar has the horses in the harbor of Jorvik City, putting one there. There's no reason why there would be one there, but sure.
No,
I didn't put one in Pandoria though.
No.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that, because when I went into that location, I was like, I'm not supposed to be here, but I need to find that spider. In a way, like the one in the cage.
Yeah.
Okay. And moving on, what kind of grinding activities would you like to see in the game in the future? TC?
I have maybe one or two for this. One of them, I guess I would call it grinding. Currently championships are something something I used to do and I really don't do anymore, and how I'd kind of like to see them maybe move forward is to have them that you can do them at any time you want and still have that player versus player element, kind of like with Alicia Online Racing, where you can queue, the race will start after a certain amount of time. There's certain elements that I wouldn't take from Alicia, because with Alicia, for example, whoever hosts the room can kick people out of the room and things like that. So I'd want it a little bit more automated, that let's say you queue and there's maybe 8 people you go against, and then it just starts the race once there's those slots filled, or maybe you want to race against maybe just 4 people, or maybe you just want to race against 2. But to be able to use that to train horses, and to be able to do different race tracks, maybe have elements of doing things like using magic, using attacks and things like that, and having different race tracks each time you race, so it'd be randomized. I think something like that would be really, really fun and a really interesting way for people to actually compete against other players while grinding, because sometimes I think training can be very solo. And while I think it's important to have a solo way of doing it, because some people don't want to do PvP, I think it's nice to also have ways that people can do it, because a lot of people really like the social aspect of championships. But then you have to hang around, you have to wait, and I used to do that. And then you've a race that maybe takes you 3 minutes to do it, and then you have to wait another hour or another half hour or whatever, or we might have to wait till the next day if it's the last race of the day. So that would be something I'd love to see changed in kind of a way like that, as a future grinding activity. The other one relates to Farah's workshop, because I really like the workshop. What I would like to see possibly in the future is, let's say I have an item that I buy from the store, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this item's really nice, but it's no stats. That I could take it to Farah's workshop, get the, grind over a certain amount of time, and apply max stats to it. It wouldn't just be instantaneous or anything, it would take me a couple of days. But I think that would be great, because there's so many items in the game that I love, but then they have no stats. So I think that in itself would actually add a lot of gameplay on, because I know there's plenty of people out there who loved items that we got in a promo, but they had no stats.
Yeah, I want that in the game so much.
Yeah,
like all those beautiful items we give away in events like Halloween and other activities that are really cool looking, and then they have 0 stats, so low level players can get them. And it would be amazing to have something like that.
Yeah.
So those would be my 2 that I would pick.
Okay. For me, it would be, because I'm thinking that I'm working so much on this flying in World of Warcraft, so that's all in my mind right now. But to have something, and I've been thinking about how World of Warcraft has it, since they have so many kinds of reputation grinding and all that, and how it all works differently. I would like to have like a mix of having to do dailies, but also gather stuff to build up some kind of reputation, maybe with an area. To in the end maybe get a sort of special feature that I will go towards in another question, so I'm not gonna spoil it yet.
Okay.
But yeah, like a little mixture, like sort of like what's going on with Farah, because she, as you progress, you get quests sort of, but here you do dailies, but you also get to gather stuff. Maybe it doesn't give you a big amount of XP, but gives you something. Maybe it is a daily where someone is asking for, I would like to have 30 of this today. And then, something like that. Just a mixture. And it is like in a set area with maybe multiple of NPCs, like it involves everyone for that area. I hope I explained it correctly. Cici?
Yeah, no, I agree. One example like that was with the Cultics and the Fjord horses. You couldn't buy one of the old model Fjord horses unless you had high reputation with the cults. Or with the Welsh ponies at the Southhoof with the Hermit. I think that's very interesting that you have like a reputation cap to be able to, buy horses or to unlock a special feature. So that's maybe something to explore a bit more.
Yeah.
Other things I was thinking about was it would be fun if you could maybe mix in some of the grinding activities together. So, for example, with Farah's workshop and the collection of flowers, or with the fishing, maybe you could make so that the flowers or the fishes you collect, you could use them to, example, tame horses and or pets. So like you would see a wild horse or a wild bear or something, and then you could tame it like an grinding activity. You go out and search for it, and then you feed it every day for a couple of days or something like that, and then you eventually they will be like, oh, I really love you, I want to be with you, kind of like the spirit. Something like that. That would be really fun.
I really liked how spirit worked as well, and I realized we have forgotten about archaeology. We haven't talked about
archaeology.
But that is also fun. I like archaeology.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a while though, but it was fun when it was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, with Farah, I would love to see more stuff there. I think I mentioned like the last episode. I would love to see, love to be able to make furniture for a home stable to decorate and stuff. Or maybe like Conrad Marston in Moorland. Maybe you can go to him and he will learn you more about blacksmithing and furniture making. Or I would love that, to make earrings. That would be really fun. And accessories for your character.
Yeah.
Like you go around and search for stones and then you go to Conrad and make beautiful earrings. Or like decorations for your horse's bridles, and maybe he can teach you how to make bridal decorations and saddles and stuff.
Yeah, that
would be really cool.
Okay. Leila, what would you like to see?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that I love a lot of those wish list things you're bringing up here, because a lot of them really ties into my vision of what a holistic crafting system would look like. And I'm hoping that that's some steps we can walk towards. And aim for with evolution of Farah's workshop, or crafting within Star Stable in particular. But just to mention some other grinding activities that I haven't mentioned here, because I absolutely think you should be able to upgrade your gear. I absolutely think that there should be other activities you can do that reward crafting items, so it kind of ties into all the aspects of the game. But I'd also like to see some grinding activities that would be more options related to what you're doing with the horse. Maybe exploring the horse care system in a way that would allow the player to bond with their horse in different ways. So that you earn it from level 1 to level 15 wouldn't necessarily just be a straight level progression, but also give some options at certain levels to explore, like, what kind of personality does your horse have? And personal quests that you can do with your horse. Some things we've been thinking about, like ways to bond with your horse that's just not about leveling up its race stats.
That sounds awesome.
That's also something I'd like to see with NPCs, like you level up your relationship with NPCs and get closer to them and get like some lore about them in that way.
I want to know more about Avalon. He's so mysterious. I love him.
Yeah.
And that's something I've been thinking about for a while, the NPC relationships, because that's a big part of my favorite games. But then someone mentioned it to me, like, if you have that for NPCs, why wouldn't you have it for horses? I'm like, yeah, of course you should be able to bond with your horses in the same way. Every horse should be a unique journey.
Kind of like in Red Dead. I know, obviously, as you ride around, but also the way you treat your horse. And as you unlock levels, the horse can do different things, whether that's rearing or going off to the side and things like that. It would be interesting in that way. Even like, because you know, like in the app, for example, the horses app, the way you can give horses different traits. I suppose that would be an element. Like maybe you find out which trait your horse actually likes. And maybe that would be a part of the bonding.
Cute.
And there's one more kind of grinding activity that we haven't talked much about. That doesn't really exist in Star Stable right now as much, but I'd like to explore the social element of grinding more, and I wonder if that could be something that you could relate to riding clubs. Something that would allow riding club prestige or something. You mentioned Alicia Online earlier. And I'm just thinking about what if riding clubs could actually get prestige by competing in races and championships and winning. That would actually give a reason for members of the riding club to grind towards a goal.
Yeah, because that's something with championships. I think, like, if you could enter as a team, because with Alicia, a lot of guilds, for example, will go into races as a team. They might be competing against individuals who are also on a team, or they might be competing against different guilds. So I think that would be very interesting for people to do that, because then you could build up a reputation within the guild, the club itself. So that's another element, because like with the championship thing, I also want it to be that individuals could go in and compete. I think that's very important. but I'd also like to see elements that would bring in the likes of clubs and that they could, earn points from getting team wins, or collectively, let's say, players would bring in their own points as well. I'd kind of want to make sure that it was done in a way that didn't make it... I'd want it to be competitive, but not to the point where it starts to get vicious, because I've seen that. So I think the balance there is going to be very important, but I would definitely like it, because I think it would be fun.
Yeah, that's, balancing viciousness is always, and keeping the toxicity away is always going to be a thing that you'll have to deal with in online games. But if we want it to be less competitive, there is also cooperative grinding elements that we should be able to do. Like if there's a server-side counter or a global counter towards something, and every person who plays the game contributes towards it. And there's some sort of end goal in sight, or even just that you have something that you're building towards, but if you're doing it with your friends, you can all the points that you collect counts for each person on the team, or something like that. I think it would be interesting to just introduce social elements to grinding in general.
Because something AO did was they brought in different levels. So I can't remember the base level, but you go up to silver, and then you go up to gold, and then if you got over a certain amount of points, you'd be moved into platinum. So depending on where you were, it meant you were in a leaderboard with people of a similar standing. So I think that would also be an element that maybe could be used in a way, because sometimes I think people can get put off, because if you go in against a platinum player as a bronze, you might just go, I can't do this, and you're not going back. So I think I would want to see that those kind of races, if they are, that you could go in and you could race and you could earn XP for your horse as you do the races. It wouldn't necessarily have to be as much as maybe you get from doing individual races necessarily, but that it does give you some kind of reward. So even if you don't win, you still get points for having done the race, because I guess with championships can be so competitive that people sometimes can get quite nasty with each other. So I'd want to see a system that, while it has competitive elements to it, that maybe it was a goal, like if so many people get into platinum or so many people get into gold or whatever, or just as people do 1 million races this month, that it would give some kind of reward at the end, so everybody feel like they'd be working towards something like that, which I think would probably be a good way of maybe curbing that a little bit. So, yeah.
Sounds cool. Okay, moving on. Is it important to have a physical award in the end of a grinding? What do you think, Cici?
Yeah, I think so. Because otherwise it's kind of hard to find a motivation to do it. Like, if it's only there because you have nothing else to do, then most of the time you're not gonna do it. So yeah, for me, I really need the motivation and the reward. So yeah, I think it's important.
I'm gonna say not really. That depends on what we're talking about when it comes to physical. Because I'm thinking, like, again, with World of Warcraft and flying, I would like to have a reason to like unlock a feature in the end instead of getting a saddle or a shirt. Like, to actually get something that isn't necessarily something that is more gives you advantage in the game, more to like make it like it is with flying, sort of easier to move around, maybe in a way. And I'm going to get to... I have an idea for a feature, but I'm gonna wait for it for this last question when we're going to talk about it more. So yeah, something with features would be fun. Also, we do have the leading rope that is right now only you have to pay star coins for it. That could be something that would transition to having to do some grinding to get instead, maybe. But yeah, something like that. TC.
I think this depends as well, because as you just said, if you could unlock a feature, sometimes that would be more attractive than, let's say, a saddlebag pet or an item that you wear. Because you can only use so many, you can only wear so many clothes, and you can only wear or use so many saddlebag pets at one time.
Yeah.
Whereas a feature that you can use all the time is much more useful in that respect. Like, for example, I would have said at the start, before I began the Rune Runner quest, I was doing it to get the Rune Runner.
Yeah.
But as I've started to do it, I've actually enjoyed it for other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I still look forward to getting Rune Runner.
Mm.
It's not the main reason that I'm even doing that right now.
Mm.
So I think for me, it can depend on what it is and the process of it, whether it's fun, I think is a big part of it. So yeah, I think that's very variable. I wouldn't say yes or no to this.
Good. Okay, and what does Leila think?
Well, in either case, the reward is going to be digital, right? I mean, we're not going to send you a physical.
No. Okay, yeah.
No. Everyone who completes the druid grinding gets a physical horse.
Oh my god!
Don't show up at your door with it. No, obviously not. But I'm guessing there is the difference between like clothes or gear or plushies, or compared to something like lore or more quests or a new feature. And I think that regardless of what the reward has to be, it doesn't have to be physical as long as it's something that's aspirational. And that would be even better if it's a long grind. I think there should be different kind of rewards that are sprinkled in a way. Maybe they could give the player the choice of which kind of rewards they wish to obtain. Or when we made Soul Riding, I designed it in the way that we knew that a Rune Runner was going to be the ultimate reward, but we didn't want it to just be what you mentioned before, the 0 to 120,000 meter go get it, because that is so daunting. And instead, look at it in smaller segments. So I established that we have minor rewards, medium rewards, and the aspirational final reward. So the final reward was the Rune Runner. And then it was the medium rewards, which you claim for. Those are basically everything you claim for the fire, which is something that we thought this is something the player would like, and a player would be able to get it about every 3 to 4 days if they play actively. And then we have minor rewards, like you get a bunch of horse XP for doing soul riding, and a little bit extra for the first time you do a mission or training activity first time in the day. So to that end, it was kind of the idea that you're always going to be rewarded, but now and then you get an extra big reward. And I don't think they necessarily always need to be physical. Like there was a mention of lore is everything, but I also think that depends on the player, because we have some players who would give everything just to have more lore, but then we have some players who wouldn't be interested in that at all. So I think it was important to also balance that. Yeah, you get some clothes and you also get some lore entries in that case.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so next or last question, I should say. What kind of reward would you like to see in the future now that we have Horse and in Fire's Workshop, we have the outfits, and Catherine's Memory, we have the lore. So what else would you like to see? And I feel like I have been just building up the anticipation of what I am talking about for the last 3 questions. So I would like to see a sort of like a kind of writing where you get something that could be make your horse or somewhat withstand the cold of Dino Valley.
Ooh, interesting.
That's a good idea.
So in Dino Valley, once it would be updated, that maybe you would help the people in Dino Valley with the shores and collecting stuff, maybe do some crafting to create something that you can put either just maybe a blanket that is making all horses withstand cold, or something that once you reach that level, all horses are withstanding the cold. So yeah, something like that. Or just maybe your starter horse, because right now you have to be in there for a lot of time with your starter horse, and it's slow.
Yeah, I completely agreed. I've wanted several times, and if we could craft consumables with Fire's Workshop, that would probably be a thing. But like, have something that would just be an item, sort of like warm soup that you give to your horse. There, now it's cold resistant for an amount of minutes.
Yeah.
Just so you don't have to have that bad experience when you have to take your starter to Dino Valley for the story quests, and it's so slow.
A frost-resistant herb.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you eat some chili fruits and you get frost resistant. I learned it from Zelda. I'm sure it works like that in real life.
It didn't work when we gave them potatoes, so I'm no. So yeah, that was basically my idea. TC, what would you like to see as a reward?
I think this would relate to maxing horses, because I've maxed so many horses over the years. Although I don't have the amount that some people have, but I think I would like to see that if I max, let's say, every time I max a horse, I get a little bit of XP overall. And if I max a bunch of horses, then I get an achievement. And maybe get like 50 star coins if I max 10 horses. Because I feel like the achievements were introduced, and at first I was excited about the achievements, and then I was like, these don't really do anything, I don't really get anything from them. So I would like to have something like that, because, you know, every time, I think it would encourage people to max their horses, maybe to a degree, like if they were going to get 50 star coins for maxing maybe 5 or 10 horses. I think it would just be like a wee small thing, and then it would maybe encourage them, because they'd have a couple of star coins saved up from that, to then go and get a new one. And it would kind of roll on like that. So I think that would be an idea that I'd maybe like to see. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily have to be star coins, but just something that makes it feel like you've achieved something.
Interesting. I really like that. CC?
Yeah. More ways to train and motivate. Training is really important. But yeah, kind of reward. I just like we haven't been mentioning before, like I just want to see like more integration between the grinding and collections. Like there's more different things. For example, like we have so many NPCs that we don't know much about. So it would be more fun to have more, you know, you get to know them and they have different things you can do. Like maybe one NPC is really fashionable and you can make like a lot of different, maybe they can inspire you, and the reward with that person is you can unlock special hairstyles and makeup styles. Or something like that.
Yeah. Sounds definitely would like that.
Yeah.
Like for instance, there are so many NPCs that we see nowadays that has very interesting hairstyles that everyone wants. So that would be like a fun thing to have, that you have to really sort of get to know that person by helping it out with different things, or something like that. And then in the end you maxed out like, oh, you are now best friend with this NPC. You can have the exact same hairstyle as that one now.
Yeah, that's really cute.
You know.
I would love to see that with things like you could actually go out and cosplay as some NPCs. Like in the token collection, we gave away some of James's clothes.
Yeah.
I would love to do that with like the Soul Riders. Oh, you're building up friendship with the Soul Riders, so now you get things like Alex's hat or Lisa's jacket.
I would love that.
And you can just ride around and cosplay as the Soul Riders and other NPCs.
Need Lisa's jacket. I need it.
Do you know what that reminds me of? You know, in the, or I don't know if it's still there, it's Justin's jacket, and the description is smells just like him.
Yeah, you can. I
kind of creepy.
I think you can still buy that in the Moorland shop.
Yeah.
Ew.
That's
weird.
It made me laugh so much. I was like, me and my club made jokes about it for ages, so we went and got Justin's jacket.
Oh boy. Okay, Leila, what kind of rewards would you like to see?
I was actually going to say something very similar to what TC said earlier about because we've been talking a lot recently about the horse progression, and I mentioned a lot earlier about bonding with your horse. I would like to see some other reward when you reach level 15, something, or when you reach the end of progression of training a horse or bonding with a horse, then you should get something that helps you to start a new progression with a new horse. And it could be maybe that's a longer journey than it is right now if we can add more features, but then you could get something like, I don't know if it should be a discount coupon, like, hey, you get 100 star coins off your next horse. Or it can be like, oh, here's a ticket to test ride a horse of your choice. Maybe some things like that would just tie into the loop itself, or any other experiences in the game. I think it would be... I talk a lot about holistic systems, and just to explain that word, to quote Dirk Gently, it's the interconnectedness of all things, which more or less means that things work together in a way that makes sense. So I would like to see more crafting, grinding system. I would like to see more grinding things tie into each other. So something you earn in one place may make something else easier. We have the examples right now, of course, where, hey, if you do a quest and you get a jacket with good stats, then you can use that to win races. But if we had a system where you could actually upgrade clothes with little stats, then you could get things that would work with that kind of system, even when you do other kind of activities as rewards. And that would, of course, help you with other things in the game.
Yeah. Cool.
So I guess I just want the rewards to be more connected, or lead into helping you with other kind of gameplay in general.
I'm like, when I hear all these ideas, I'm so stoked for the future for Star Stable. I'm like hoping so much.
And of course, I should always make the disclaimer that whatever I'm saying right now are just my personal speculations, and I don't guarantee that any of this, or in whatever form, will be available in the future. And even if I say that we're thinking about something right now, it doesn't mean that we're working on it, or anything can change. That's just the nature of game development.
Yeah.
So we're not getting that real life free horse.
No.
Yes, I should say that Star Stable does not promise any kind of free horse at your doorstep when you've finished any kind of grinding. Please do not send complaints to Star Stable's customer support about not getting a free horse in your real life. There we go. That should cover that.
Much.
Yeah. Oh, that made me think about Sigrid Baranger. She was like, "Oh, if you vote for me for mayor, you will get a pony."
We never got that pony.
No, we didn't. No, that was fake news. And still, she became mayor anyway. Before we end this topic, we got so many ideas, or we got some ideas. I'm not gonna say so many, but we got ideas on what people would like to see when it comes to grinding, and I felt like we cannot end it without having a list of wishes from players, to give to Leila, and that she can take to the team and see what they say. Anyway, they can discuss. So the first one is, for Christmas, have something like Farah's workshop, but instead create Christmas presents that you will deliver to the citizens of Jorvik. So you're basically Santa.
Oh, that's cute.
So cute.
Yes,
I really like that one.
And then maybe in the end, even craft your own Christmas outfit. Or something like that. That would be cool. Second, we could help Anne train Concord until she is grown up. Somewhere similar to the missions of Soul Riding.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah,
that would be an interesting one.
Third, more crafting possibilities, and we have already been discussing this in Farah's workshop, like more advanced. That will also mean collecting flowers, maybe in Golden Hills Valley, Dino Valley, and in Pona. Maybe even having to go to Pandoria to get those very special stuff. And then last, be able to update gear and clothes stats through crafting. People want it.
Agreed. 100% agreed. There is of course always, if something like that hasn't happened, it can be several reasons, but sometimes it's just technical constraints, and it needs more. Something needs more time to develop than you'd think from just looking at it.
Yeah. We're still hoping. We're praying for that day when it will happen.
Yeah, I'm really hoping for that too. I think it would be. I think it would just be an amazing add-on that would do so much for people's self-expression when they play the game. To actually feel like they can wear their favorite outfit and not just their favorite outfit that also has good stats.
Yes, and that they worked for it, and maybe even that they don't have to make it to give it max stat. Just something that makes it like I can actually go out and train my horse. And not feel like the noob I was 12 years ago or something like that. Yeah, not 12 years ago. But
there could be some prestige in that too. Maybe there's more you can add on to stats. Like you can add something like, now you added a buff to this shirt, so it sparkles whenever you wear it or something.
Ooh, yes, sparkles.
And I'm like, no, I do not want to sparkle, but of course I want to be
everything sparkle.
Oh my god. Okay. Yes. But yeah, that was a list of wishes from the players as well that I felt like we need to bring this up. And so we are done with the topic. Okay, good. Then we're leaving that topic for this time. No one knows. We might revisit it again like next year or something if there's like been amazing stuff added to the game. Who knows? But we are moving forward to our favorite and least favorite update of the month, which is July. And of course, Leila, if you don't feel comfortable with this, you do not have to join.
I don't really want to say something that's my least favorite update.
No.
Besides, I've been on vacation, so I haven't had a lot of time to look at the game during July.
Yes, and also it is a good disclaimer to say that July was also a big vacation month for the office, and so this month was a lot of revisiting stuff, and just it hasn't been that many big updates, so to speak. But still, I would have to say it's been a kind of a nice month. So let's start with TC. What has been your least favorite?
My least favorite is the return of the show jumping competition.
Oh, really? I thought he was going to say Cloud Kingdom.
No, I actually... Do you know why? I'll tell you why it isn't Cloud Kingdom. Because whenever we did SSOCon, and we had everybody from Hobby Moon who was there join us in Cloud Kingdom, it honestly is hands down one of the best moments I've ever had in this game. It was just insane. Seeing all of these wild horses running through Cloud Kingdom, just constantly never-ending stream. Like, 50 people would load in, then another 50 people would load in, and it just kept going and going.
Okay.
So I was really glad the Cloud Kingdom was there, because people were flying past you as they went round the Cloud Kingdom. You know, the way it sort of pings you round.
Yeah.
I got to see, like, loads and loads of people. So, no, that was... very, very happy that it was there. I think it was the perfect time for that, actually.
It's like they knew.
So that was fun.
Okay, then
but no, it was my least favorite was actually the show jumping race. Linda's fun show jumping course.
Yeah.
This is a very personal thing. I like when I do races that I can just go flat to the mat as fast as I can.
Oh my god, come on.
Through a race. I do, right? So the fact that I have to like slow down, turn really, really tightly because it's a lot of fences in a very tight space. I don't particularly enjoy that. I know that it's supposed to be like that, okay? This is why I'm saying it's a personal thing. Because I can't go flat to the mat. I just was doing it and I got confused and I was like, and then I was like, I only, like, the first time it came, I only did it once and I only did it twice this time.
Okay.
And then I never went back to it. So that is my least favorite. Because I like going through races at 1,000,000 miles an hour because I like to try and get the best time. So when I have to slow down, I don't like it.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. What was your favorite?
My favorite was the Andalusian that came back of the open house.
Oh, yes.
Because when open house came back, I was like, I'm just gonna do a live stream when open house comes out because it's probably a lot of what we had the year before and the year before that. But I was taken back. I was very taken back. So, that horse was just, oh my god, it was stunning. I was like, I need this.
So
I agree with you.
That was my favorite.
Yeah. I have to say that my least favorite was Cloud Kingdom, but I did not have the experience you had.
Yeah.
I went up there once and then I was like, yeah, bye. And went down again. So, because it's just not my favorite. It's just, no, I don't see the point. I don't like running around on clouds and I don't like the raids really. Personally, but I know a lot of other people think it's very funny, and I'm happy for you guys that the Cloud Kingdom was back, but for me it was like, yeah.
I feel really silly now because I didn't mention that at the start, but I think it's because I just completely forgot when it happened. It feels like it happened longer ago than it did. I feel like I didn't include that in my July update, and now I feel bad. It was brilliant.
Which
anybody
one?
that was
Sorry?
The SSO con.
Oh,
for the July update, I don't know why, but I was thinking it was further back than it was for some strange reason. But yeah, it did happen. Earlier in July,
I missed it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I missed it too. I was away. So
I highly recommend. I do it again next year.
Because I was asked, and I was like, I was in a position where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm available at that time at all.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how it was all gonna work. So now that it has happened, I'm like, I might be up for next time.
Yeah, because I, funnily enough, wasn't supposed to be there for Saturday. Because I thought I was going out with my family, and then my family were like, nah, like, they didn't tell me, they didn't update me.
Yeah, okay.
So I was sat there and I was like, I'll just hang out and chill for the meantime. So then I ended up being there for all day and then the day afterwards.
Lovely.
Oh, good. Okay, back to favorite and least favorite update. No, it's fine. So my least favorite was Cloud Kingdom. Let's just move on. My favorite, and I'm like I think this feature should have come when clubs are actually active, and that is the riding hall update feature where we can make people go away. I am like so in love and I can't wait for my riding club to get active again with riding lessons and everything, because oh my god, yes. Yes. And I do want to mention, because I got intel, that this was a Friday passion project by one of the colleagues at Star Stable. And for some of you who might not know, Friday passion, I think it is once a month. They have a Friday where people can just work on whatever they would like that would be nice to have on Star Stable Online. And so some people do. One person made photo mode, like we have mentioned before, and that was last year was like one of our favorite updates.
Yeah.
Was it last year or 2 years ago now?
I think it might have been 2 years ago now.
2 years ago now.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, this is another Friday passion project, and I can't wait for really test it out when our riding club is active again. So I think why it hasn't gotten the hype as it should is because a lot of the clubs are on summer break. So I think now in August, September, it's going to be used a lot.
Yeah, because our club is going to do an event soon. We're going to do like a one-day event, so we'll be using it for the dressage section. So that'll be the first time we'll properly be using it.
Yes. So yeah, I love the person who made this. Love it. Okay, Cici.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite?
My least favorite, I also picked Cloud Kingdom.
You who like colors and rainbows.
Yeah,
Why?
I know. I love Cloud Kingdom. It's so cute. I love everything sparkly, rainbow, unicorns, fluffy clouds, everything like that. Totally my style.
Yeah.
But I had nothing to do there.
Yeah.
There was nothing new for me. It was like, though the rainbow set, love it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
That set. So pretty. It's like my favorite race set now, even though I don't race. But but yeah, I was so sad to see that there was nothing added to it except the fabulous rainbow set, because I wanted to do something there because I really like it. I really like the Cloud Kingdom, but since I already played through the mini quest and stuff like that, I didn't have that much reason to be there. So yeah.
Okay.
But then again, July is a very slow vacation month. Like Sweden, it's kind of like during the summer months from like June to August, like most of the country is shut down because everyone is away on vacation.
Yeah, or it's, well, this year we vacationed in Sweden, so everyone left the big cities and went out to nature.
Exactly. So it's to be expected, you know, it's not a shocker.
Okay, and what was your favorite?
I also chose the riding hall hide players function because yes, finally, thank you. It's been something I've been craving for so long.
Yeah.
As you know, because I've always been part of mostly active clubs that have a lot of club events and club championships, and we have a lot of dressage contests. And the riding hall, it's, you know, like any other place in the game, it's a public space.
Yeah.
So you always have to share it. And there's always people that's gonna be like, I see they're doing a thing, I'm gonna stand in the middle and annoy everyone.
Yeah. And have everyone ignore them.
Or like, I think there's like a limit to how many people can be in the same place before it's like bugs out and you can't see people. That's been
50.
Yeah. That was when I was part of like a really big competition between a lot of different clubs. It was like a public dressage competition. It was like you couldn't see people, you couldn't judge people. It was a mess. But now with hide player function, you can be more selective in which people you want to see. So it's gonna make a lot of club events way more easier now. So I'm also looking forward to my riding club going active. Yay! I'm so excited.
Yes.
Also, I also would be really excited and hoping that this sort of thing would be added to main quests in the future. That would transfer to hide players. Because I want to be the only one that saves the world. I want to be special.
Exactly. You are special together with all the other 50 people around here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a constant problem, I know. Okay, Leila, do you have a comment in this?
Yeah, I thought that I'd just say things I liked and one thing I didn't like instead of summarizing it as a whole update. But I did like the donkeys mostly because it was I was helping the other designer get into the system how to make them, and she was very enthusiastic and had a lot of great ideas. She's a really good designer. And then I left for 2 weeks. I came back and played through it a bit to fix some bugs while she was on vacation. And as that's really the only thing I can 100% say I've worked on this month, that's that. Plus, it's really cute to ride around with the donkeys following you. I always like the quests where things are following you or someone is sitting on your horse, because you can always take them to strange places and take pictures. And, I find it fun.
One thing I just wanted to add on to the donkeys was my club thought it'd be really fun if whenever, obviously we got the wee plushie, that if it was a walking pet in the sense that when it was in your saddlebag it's the plushie, but when it's out it's one of the wee miniature donkeys.
Aww. Yes. that would be
so cool.
Because I was like, it'd be cruel to have a miniature donkey in your saddlebag, and then it was like, but it could be a plushie when it's in your saddlebag, and then a real donkey when it's on the ground. And then someone was like, that's not realistic. I was like, this is Jorvik, we can do whatever we want.
Exactly. It's a Jorvik donkey. That's how they work now. I mean, we talked to Squirrel about world domination, so why not?
Yes.
Yeah.
And have a panda ray that flies around our head. It's a ray. We can go all in that. Okay. Anything else, Leila?
Well, the donkeys were my favorite thing. My least favorite thing was the fact that I was gone during the time that the Cloud Kingdom event was active, so I wasn't able to buy the new pretty rainbow shirts on my character, and now I have to wait until the next time it comes around. I need my regular dose of rainbows.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's nothing on the game. That's just missed opportunity.
Yeah. It will probably be back. I'm hoping so. For all the people that actually loves the Cloud Kingdom, I'm hoping it will be back. Then moving over to our monthly wish of what we would like to have added into the game, and I feel like we have been talking about what we would like to have added into the game for 2 hours now. But let's sum it up. Like we three can pick one of what we would really like to have in the game, and of course Leila can have 2 because she's guest. And so TC, you can have 1 wish.
I'm going to relate it to the writing hall in regards to the way you can choose who you see. I'd like to be able to tailor it a little bit more. So let's say there was a box where you could type in a club name. So if you're doing a collaboration with another club, or maybe like a co-event, that you could put their name in as well. Or if you wanted to be able to see your friends along with your club, just so that you could have more options with it. I mean, obviously I know that, like, let's say you have a club that's 50 people, and those 50 people are there. Yes, you're going to see them, but I think if you're in a smaller club and you're maybe doing it with another club and maybe some of your friends, it would be nice to be able to tailor it to those specific individuals. I think that would be nice.
Yeah. Okay, nice. And Cece, what is your wish?
I love the donkey, so I really would like to see a little, either like a pet donkey or maybe even a rideable donkey. So, yeah, I really want like the SSO Donkeys Wanted campaign to be successful.
Oh yeah, we want the donkeys, more donkeys tonight.
They're so adorable.
I'm gonna tie my wish to what we've been talking about, but oh god, we have been talking about so many cool things. I'm gonna wish for something that could be possible, even though I really like the stats idea thing. I'm gonna wish for the thing that I've been talking about, and that is some kind of feature you can unlock so your horse is your horse is normal in Dino Valley, basically. Like a blanket or some kind of tea or whatever. Yeah, we give the horse tea now. Or a special carrot.
Tea flavored carrots.
Oh yes.
It could be like a Pandorian thing, so you have to have unlocked Pandoria to be able to get whatever mushroom or plant or herb, so that you could make it. Because then you have to progress a certain amount. Because I think that's the thing with Dino is yes, you're slow, but maybe you could make it like when you get to a certain point. Now that you can go to Pandoria, you can get the plants that main when you go into Dino. You can make that soup and you can go fast.
Yeah, that could be an idea. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, and Leila, you can have 2 wishes.
Okay, we've been talking about a lot of different wishes during this, so I thought I'd actually go ahead and suggest some things on the wish list that we haven't really been talking about. But the first thing would be further customization with your horse that offers better role-playing opportunities. Things like being able to pick the gender for your horse. Things that would allow you to write a backstory for your horse that other players could check out. Things that you could pick your horse's mood, and this could also be built in a way so the further, like, you have a bond level with your horse, and the more you actually bond with a horse, the more you find out about it. So you choosing what kind of personality the horse has would actually be themed as, okay, you've discovered this personality, even though the player is still the one making the choice. I think I'd like to see a lot more that would turn experience of buying and raising a horse to something much more than just, okay, raise it from level 1 to level 15, and rather, here's a completely new horse that you will have an adventure bonding with.
That sounds brilliant! I love it!
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yes.
Okay.
And then my second one is completely different, and that's Dark Rider boss battles.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
No, this is out of nowhere. This is something I was actually going to pitch, but with for this year, but with the situation how it is, it didn't turn out to be. But I want to see. I want to see the magical situation escalate. You're doing some kind of magical work in soul riding, like you're closing Pandorian portals. You are saving some creatures and knocking drones down. But I want to expand on that. I want you to actually maybe go on missions to areas in Pandoria where you actually have to wrest control for them by the Dark Riders. And how that could be done is, well, there could be several different ways, but something that would feel like this is highly magical and the stakes are even higher.
Oh, yes.
And also that would allow us nice opportunities to bring in more of the Dark Riders, because that's a kind of hanger on to this wish that those haven't been used a lot. Currently they have very old models. They're a work in process getting them updated, but once they're updated, it would be nice to give them an important role that shows them that it's these dangerous, powerful, mysterious main antagonists that they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Like maybe if you... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was going to add it. They're really cool in the books, but I can praise Helena Dahlgren's books all day. So.
Yeah.
No, I think it would be cool because, like, for example, with the Rune Runner, if you're doing the Druid training and then you go on missions, let's say one of them was a Dark Rider and you had to fight against them. Let's say you lost to the Dark Rider 3 times and you lost some of your progress. So the stakes would be high.
Oh my goodness.
Would annoy people, but it
interesting.
Would be
oh my god, all the noise. Yeah. No, I'm not sure if I want that.
or you could join with the Dark Riders and you'd actually fight against the Soul Riders instead.
Oh my god.
Evil. I like it. I want to be.
Or you can be super sneaky, be a double agent.
Now
that would just be chaos.
And then you'd have 2 reputation progression, and you lose reputation with the Soul Riders if you help the Dark Riders, but you can be a sneaky double agent and help them.
Yeah. Oh my god! Complex. So
interesting.
I love it. All the ideas we have been bringing up, I love them all. But yeah, that was the last thing of this episode. I want to thank you, Leila, for joining us and giving us all your ideas. As I said, would love if all of them came true.
Well, thanks for letting me on here and for giving me a voice. I always find it fun to talk about game dev stuff.
Yes, and also
very interesting.
Thank you for teaching us everything. I learned so much more than I thought.
Super interesting.
Yes, super interesting. But yeah, thank you everyone who was listening. If you have any questions, of course, to Leila or to any of us, just leave them in the comments down below, and TC will forward them either to me or to Leila directly.
Yeah.
And you will find, as we said, Leila's social media down below as well. And was there anything else we're going to put in the description?
I'll probably link the last episode, but I'll link it earlier on when we mentioned it.
Okay. Okay. Remember to stay awesome as always, people, and we will see you in August, in the end of August anyway. Bye-bye.
Bye.